Virginia is the cradle of American history. The first European settlement was founded here. It was from here that Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers, would refine the words he would one day draft into the Declaration of Independence. As one of the original 13 colonies, Virginia is called the home of presidents. 8 U.S. presidents, including George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, were from Virginia. There are a tremendous number of historical sites that serve as a reminder of this state's storied past with regards to U.S. history. Randy Carter was born on the Shirley Plantation. He is the 11th generation to be born here. He has to drive across this vast tract of land to visit his family's graveyard. The Carter family has lived in Virginia for more than 300 years, longer than the history of the U.S. They are one of the oldest families in Virginia. Randy is proud of his family history.
Welcome to the Carter Family Cemetery. This is where the 6th through 10th generation of my family is buried. If y'all want to walk on in. This grave right here is, this is the stone that marks the grave of Edward Hill I. This is the first of the Hills lived at Shirley Plantation. Came over in 1651 about, or 1638, and had this land by 1651. And this grave right here at the end was put in here in 2009, and this is my father's grave. He always wanted to be buried.
The history of the Shirley family can be traced back to 1613, 6 years after the British established the first permanent settlement in North America. Shirley Plantation is the first plantation in Virginia. It survived wars with Indians, the War of Independence, the Civil War, and the Great Depression. The family portraits and antique interior provide a living history of this family's 11 generations.
Well, there's actually a book. It's called, well, there's a book of the Carter family tree, and it's a very thick book. And there's something like 20,000 descendants.
One of my favorite sayings is, if you do not love history, you do not want to embrace the history of Virginia, you may want to move on, because that's really, we have a lot of that here. Everything from the early settlement to the modern day history. Virginia, it is very in tune to modern politics as well as the happenings of the pulse of our nation, our great nation.
In the freezing December of 1606, 150 people departed from Britain's London harbor. They sailed 3 ships westward, heading to an unknown land. After a long journey, on May 14, 1607, the ships arrived at the Chesapeake Bay. situated on the east coast of North America. They landed at a small peninsula on the southeast of Virginia, which became the first permanent European settlement known as Jamestown. Shortly after that, they named this area Virginia. From here, immigrants from Europe continuously traveled westward along the James River. They scattered all over North America, making this land into a country.
Present your piece! Get
Right now, I'm
fire!
walking to the center of the site of the 1607 fort that was established by the English here on Jamestown Island, and this is approximately the center of that fortification. And in it, we have, by archaeology, not only discovered where the fort was, it was thought lost to the river.
Relics of Jamestown provide a window into life at the time. They commemorate this nation's initial history. 169 years later, 13 English colonies, including Virginia, would announce their independence here, giving birth to the United States of America. Jamestown is now a colonial national historical park. Visitors can get a sense through the relics and recreated settlements of the earliest history of the United States. Dr. William Kelso has devoted himself to the archaeological work in Jamestown since 1994. The accidental locating of Jamestown brought him fame far and wide. He never forgot the sense of exhilaration upon realizing what he had discovered.
And I found right away, first shovelful, a piece of pottery. And it was a piece of pottery that I know was very old. I've been 30 years an archaeologist up and down the river. I knew this is the oldest thing that I've ever found. And I was so excited. This is kind of a funny story, but I was so excited that there was a woman and her son watching me, very pensively, looking. And she said, "What are you doing? Does anybody know you're here?" I said, "I'm finding James Fort." And I put this piece of pottery up in front of her, and she started backing away, like, "Come on," her son was named Bobby. I think she said, "Come on, Bobby, let's not upset the nice man. Let's move along. Let's get out of here. We don't know what this guy's doing."
After 19 years of excavation, more than 1.5 million cultural relics were unearthed. They have helped fill in the blanks and shed light on this most critical period of history.
Jamestown is very magical, and I think you might feel it when you walk on the ground. History is everywhere. You can sense it. It's almost as if they're alive. And I think through our archaeology, we have brought it alive.
Where the pebble hits the pond. One book calls it the Genesis of the United States.
It's a truly magical place.
The original English settlers to North America endured starvation and conflict, and would only eventually save themselves through agriculture, creating large plantations. Today, plantations are still found in parts of Virginia. Randy Carter has kept his plantation a going concern. He has even given his animals
Not
names.
food now, I'm afraid. Chickens. Charlie. We'll be in the sun. Young child, no, it just seemed like a bunch of scary pictures on the wall. As I got older and I started to appreciate history more, you know, I learned about the particular portraits, you know, Robert King Carter, the Elizabeths that are over all the fireplaces.
After the 17th century, the Hill Carter family received many American celebrities, including Thomas Jefferson, one of the drafters of the U.S. Declaration of Independence.
No, there's no direct link to Thomas Jefferson. He undoubtedly came by and visited, and he knew the Carters because it was sort of a closed society back then. All the sort of ruling elite knew each other. And he got married. Thomas Jefferson was married, I believe, to his second wife on Carter family property about 1.5 miles northeast of here.
So once you get all that, then
This is another archaeological site.
Yeah, I was about to say.
it's not a big window. So once we get all that, then we might.
To archaeologists, Virginia offers fascinating details of U.S. history, such as where the first settlers landed. This archaeological site is located in the courtyard of President Thomas Jefferson's home. The red and white building is the home he called Monticello.
The yard area in front of the kitchen, and it also contained the road that went to the kitchen. This is not the first time we have dug at Monticello. Monticello has had an archaeology research program for actually almost 30 years.
Everything about Thomas Jefferson seems to begin from Monticello. In Italian, Monticello means hillock. Jefferson used this word for his unique residence. The building was designed by Jefferson himself, who also participated in its construction. Jefferson was born on a farm not far from here. In 1769, construction of Monticello began, and it was 7 years before the founding of the U.S. At the time, the building was surrounded by sparsely populated tracts of land. Monticello is located in the suburbs of Charlottesville in northwestern Virginia. Virginia faces the Atlantic with Chesapeake Bay in the east. Washington, D.C. is situated on the banks of the Potomac River. Virginia is one of the 13 earliest states and has always been a center of U.S. politics. In June of 1776, Thomas Jefferson drafted the Declaration of Independence. On July 4th, the document formally declared the secession of the 13 colonies from British rule. It is one of the most important political documents and is permanently housed in the National Archives in Washington, D.C.
He wrote the mission statement of America, and it's one of the few countries that has a mission statement, but that is the Declaration of Independence in 1776, with its famous preamble, its first paragraphs, in which it declares that all men are born equal.
But he was a very articulate young man, both in speech, but particularly in writing. He was a very gifted writer. He was a strikingly tall and thin man, and he had red hair. So he was very striking. Unlike many of the early founders of the American Republic, he didn't like to wear a powdered wig, and so his red hair was very visible.
In Monticello, there are many unique designs made by Jefferson himself. The bed is arranged between two walls, allowing for easy access to the living room or study. This bookstand can accommodate 5 books at a time, so that the owner can choose with great ease to shift from one book to the next. Jefferson loved the style of ancient Rome. This is one of his beloved rooms. The dome structure was borrowed from the Parthenon. Apart from his love of architecture, Jefferson also drew inspiration from botany and gardening. Monticello was repaired and rebuilt constantly until the end of his presidency.
This is the only house in America that is listed on UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites.
As the drafter of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson became the 3rd U.S. president after George Washington and John Adams. During his reign, the U.S. purchased Louisiana from France, doubling the U.S.'s territory. He helped lay a solid foundation for the U.S., both ideologically and territorially. In 1809, after finishing 2 terms, he went back to Monticello, where he discovered another scenic spot.
So from right where we're standing, Jefferson could use his spyglass and watch the University of Virginia down below in Charlottesville being built. Now, the University of Virginia was his retirement project. He dreamed of having a university for the advancement of knowledge that would have no religion associated with it. So this is the first college, the first university in the United States that has no affiliation with a church.
弗吉尼亚大学历史很悠久的，是19世纪初年就有的。2个世纪以后，那么通过一个美国建筑师就把这个样板呢就搬到了清华。
The University of Virginia has managed to even influence Tsinghua University's architectural style. Thomas Jefferson not only designed the campus buildings, but also put into practice his educational ideals there. The university, founded in 1819, was born in the spirit of equality and openness.
This is called the lawn, and essentially it was designed to look like a square with buildings on 3 sides. But then the students looked out into infinity.
像哈佛呀，历史比较悠久的东海岸的这些大学，它都是那种合院式的。杰弗逊总统为了宣示这种自由啊、民主啊、平等啊这个概念呢，所以他就在这个大学的这个建设上面呢，也采取了这种开放式的。
Yep. So, that's me. All right, man. See you later. Bye.
Dormitory rooms at the university remained relatively unchanged from when they were first built. According to Jefferson's idea, professors and students should live in the same building to create a sense of equality. This tradition remains alive and well.
Today, Mr. Jefferson's home at Monticello and the lawn at the University of Virginia, which he designed, are together a UNESCO World Heritage Site. the only university site in the United States to be so designated. There are 4 universities worldwide that are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I should add that the Academical Village is also a national landmark of the United States and a Virginia landmark in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Thomas Jefferson is also buried at Monticello. People come here to pay homage to the late president while learning about U.S. history.
And in the last hours of his life, he turned to his grandson and asked, "Is it the 4th?" To which his grandson replied, "Yes, it is." And at that point, Jefferson slipped into unconsciousness and did in fact die on July 4th, 1826, 50 years to the day after he gathered with 56 men in Philadelphia to declare the independence of the United States.
Shirley Plantation was opened to the public in 1942. The Carter family shares their historic residence with the tourists that visit.
This is a funeral hatchment. This belonged to, or this was the funeral hatchment for Edward Hill IV, the young man in the big portrait right here. This would be carried in front of a funeral procession and then later on put in the church. These are very rare. We have a matching pair, Edward Hill III and Edward Hill IV. There are only 11 of these attachments in the United States, and we have the only matching pair and the only pair that exists in a private family collection. This is a tradition that dates back to England, and they're very plentiful in England.
Every day, people can hear cannon fire coming from the colonial city of Williamsburg in southeast Virginia. Locals perform historic reenactments. After the establishment of Jamestown, the English colonists established the city. Williamsburg served as the capital of Virginia from 1699 to 1780. Today, the fort has been rebuilt according to historical records. People can experience life as it was back then. "400 years ago, when the English first settled in Virginia, it was still a desolate land. Today, many Americans travel to Virginia to trace their roots and to gather a deeper sense of American culture.